They stole my human rights.
She knew right there and then that she wouldn't see her daughter again.
Myself and my two other siblings were taken off my mum and sent to the local orphanage.
I left the home. A group of Aboriginal kids came in, my first sighting of other Aboriginal kids.
God.
And, sadly, some of those kids never saw their parents ever again.
We were arrested, we were handcuffed, and we were taken back.
The stolen generation represents a tragic violation of the rights of the Aboriginal people in Australia, as government policies from the early 19th to the late 19th century systematically denied their freedoms, forcibly removed their children, and inflicted long-lasting trauma. By examining the responsibilities of the Australian government and society in perpetuating these injustices, as well as the ongoing challenges faced by Indigenous communities, this project highlights the importance of safeguarding human rights and ensuring such abuses are never repeated.
November 11th, 1869. The Aboriginal Protection Act was put in place. The Act allowed the colony of Victoria to regulate the lives of Aboriginals. Their rights were no longer theirs, as they were told that they could only have small portions of land for their tribes.
1897. The Aboriginal Protection Act and Restriction of the Sale of Opium Act allows the Chief Protector of the Aboriginal people, whom is assigned by the government, to remove the Aboriginal people, put them into reserves, take their children away, and put the children into dormitories. 1905. The Aborigines Act was passed. Under the Aborigines Act, the Chief Protector of the Aboriginal people would be the legal guardian, chosen by the government, of any Aboriginal child under the age of 16.
1909. The Aborigines Protection Act gives the Aborigines Protection Board power to assume full control and custody of any Aboriginal person if court found the child to be neglected under the Neglected and Juvenile Offenders Act that was made in 1905.
1910. The stolen generation begins. The stolen generation is defined as the people that were taken from their homes in between the time frame of 1910 through 1970. The people of Australia are still recovering from the effects of the actions put upon the stolen generation to this day.
The Aborigines Protection Amending Act was appointed into law. This act was introduced by the Aborigines Protection Board, a board which was supposed to help protect and provide safety for the Aboriginal people. Section 4, Part A, states that the board may assume full control and custody of the child of any Aborigine, if after due inquiry it is satisfied that such a course is in the interest of the moral or physical welfare of such child. The Aborigines Protection Board was able to assume full custody of all and any Aborigine child, and if they felt the child was being neglected, they could remove the child from their Aboriginal family. Aborigine children were removed from their homes if officers felt they were abused or if the children were half-caste, which is half white, and taken to institutions or homes to be trained. Due to all the racism towards the Aborigines, this happened quite often and resulted in thousands of children being ripped from their homes.
The Chief Protector at the time, A.O. Neville, was firmly committed to this plan. A.O. Neville was the Chief Protector of the Aboriginal people from 1915 to the 1940s. His personal beliefs became the foundation for much of what would occur during the stolen generation. He believed that the Aboriginal people, because of their darker skin, were inferior to the white people. His plan was to breed out the Aboriginal people through 3 generations. First, a white man would marry a half-caste and have a child who was only a quarter Aboriginal. Then the child would marry a white man and again have children with him, to produce a fully white child, breeding out the darker skinned completely. In his retirement, A.O. Neville wrote a book titled Australia's Coloured Minority, where he discusses his beliefs in Aboriginal assimilation and why the Aboriginal people must be bred out. He continued to fight for the colored peoples to be bred out for most of his life. One of the testimonies came from Millicent. She was removed from her family when she was only 4 years old, along with her brother, Colin. When she was removed from her family, they were told that she would still be able to see her family every Sunday, but she never saw them again. During her stay at Sister Kate's home, she was abused, physically and verbally, raped, and forced not to engage with any of her previous culture. Millicent said, "All they contributed to our upbringing and future was an unrepairable scar of loneliness, mistrust, hatred, and bitterness." Soon after moving into Sister Kate's home, Colin was taken away and moved somewhere else, leaving Millicent alone without family or friends.
In 1969, the Aborigines Protection Board was removed because new groups were created, like the AICCA, Aboriginal and Islander Child Care Agencies. This ended the stolen generation, mainly the internment camps, and removed the Aborigines Protection Amending Act. On February 13, 2008, the Prime Minister apologized for all of the human rights violations that occurred in the stolen generation.
The oldest continuing cultures in human history. We reflect on their past mistreatment. We reflect in particular on the mistreatment of those who were stolen generations. This blemished chapter in our national history. The time has now come for the nation to turn a new page. A new page in Australia's history by righting the wrongs of the past and so moving forward with confidence to the future.
Even though the internment camps were abolished, children are still taken away from their Aboriginal homes. In 2012, 46.6 out of every 1,000 Aboriginal children were in out-of-home care. In 2017, this number rose to 56.6 Aboriginal children in out-of-home care. In 2013, 24.8 out of every 1,000 Aboriginal infants were in out-of-home care. This number again rose in 2016 to 29.1 out of every 1,000 Aboriginal infants. The removal of the Aborigines Protection Board did abolish the Aborigines Protection Amending Act, but did not stop the removal of Aboriginal children.
From colonization to present day, the Aboriginal people have always been treated as less than equals. When colonizers came, they raped, massacred, and abused the Aboriginal people. Later on, they ripped Aborigine children from their parents because they seemed to be half-castes. These children were then verbally abused, told their parents did not want them and did not love them. They were told to shun their culture and hate themselves for being Aboriginal. When a farmer raped Millicent, she was told not to speak of it to any of the other girls and was whipped for even mentioning it to the adults at the internment camp. These horrors are what we call the stolen generation, a devastating example of the violation of fundamental human rights. The Australian government failed in its responsibility to protect the rights and cultural identity of the Aboriginal people, prioritizing control and assimilation over justice and equality. As global citizens, it is our responsibility to learn from this dark chapter in history and to safeguard the rights of all individuals, ensuring that such injustices never, ever happen again.